Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino and UFC Fight Pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule on UFC Fight Pass is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mario Cristobal Lopez. Oh, let's go, Canes. How about the U?
Oh, gosh, whatever.
Anyway,
I keep it on the West Coast, best coast.
Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about the bout sheet for tonight. Shakur Stevenson. Does anyone want to face this enterprising young man? We have Venado versus Joet Zepeda versus Gesta, and we have the Ask Mario segment. But first, we want to let you know this show is brought to you by the Hustler Casino. It's our favorite LA casino and home of the most popular live stream in the world, a Southern California staple since the year 2000.
Salute to them. Also, shout out to our homies in Hollywood right here, Scout Micro LA. They offer a unique and innovative hair loss solution for men. And a lot of guys will struggle with this, and, they don't talk about it, but trust me, it does become an issue. So they specialize in a scalp micropigmentation known as SMP, and basically they replicate the exact shape and size of the hair follicle by tattooing tiny particles of pigment into the scalp, and it gives the illusion of hair. I'm telling you, it looks crazy good, and you can see results in little as one treatment. They could restore the hairline. They can cover skin conditions, or if you got camouflage burns. It's got the highest quality tools right there. If you're going bald, you're looking for a new look, call our homies over at Scout Micro LA. You mentioned this ad for a free consult. We've had some happy customers.
Yes, we do, because if you're getting thin, we'll help fill you in.
Round 1.
All right, let's get going. Round number 1 on the 3 Knockdown Rule. Mario, last week we had some great news. I was in Nashville, you're doing your thing, and the news came over the wire. Shakur Stevenson will be facing Frank Martin, good young undefeated fighter for the vacant WBC lightweight title. Oh my God, it was all set, but not in stone, because Buzzkill Central, then Mike Coppinger of ESPN and Keith Idec of Boxing Scene both reported late last week that Frank Martin had second thoughts. Now, here is some of the things going on with that. Frank Martin has never really made a lot of money, and it was reported by various sources that for a guy that never really made 6 figures in his career for a fight, was going to get just over $1 million with a major title on the line on a big platform. Yes or no, in your view, is he quacking?
You're offering someone literally 10 times the amount that they've ever been offered, or a little more, and they said no. I want to know how it's being justified in his mind. I want to know who is in his ear. It's so sad and frustrating and makes me angry, and this is why this sport is taking a backseat to MMA. I'm sorry, but it really is, because you have the fighters not only don't want to fight the best, they don't want to fight. They're out of sight, out of mind. And I feel so bad for Shakur, such a talented guy that we should be seeing at minimum 3, at least 4 times a year at this point in his career. And Frank Martin, buddy, you're a champion. You are not acting like one. Okay.
Well, he's a contender.
Pardon me. You are a strong contender, correct?
With a chance to be a champion.
Yes, correct. You're a strong contender with a chance to be a champion, but you're not acting like you want to be one. What is your plan B? Just give me your plan B, because it's not going to be anywhere in this neighborhood or in the park. I was so disappointed hearing this. For Shakur, for the sport itself, man, to sound corny, it was a black eye.
Well, Mario, let me just point this out. He is with PBC, Frank Martin, okay? And his last fight was at the Cosmopolitan Ballroom, which may seat about 1,500. Say what you want about Shakur Stevenson, because that whole risk-reward thing, I get it. He's a very difficult fighter, so it's very risky. But Shakur Stevenson actually draws over 10,000 people in his hometown of Newark, and he does some of the highest ESPN ratings. So I don't want to hear that he's unknown, because he's not.
And Kim, talk about that risk for a second. Look, not only did we already establish that he'd be getting paid 10 times more than he's ever gotten paid, okay, so he goes there and let's say he loses. But let's say for some reason he wins. But even now, let's say he loses, but it's a valiant effort, and let's say even he gets wiped out. Doesn't matter. Every scenario you can think of, he still went up against a very special talent. I don't know how much it diminishes his value. It certainly didn't to Oscar Valdez. He was able to go and
make some money.
Make some money, be in a championship fight. So the thinking behind this is so weird. The logic just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Okay, what is your plan B? Because now you're going to be really at the back of the line and be fighting in just as, maybe not as dangerous as an opponent to get embarrassed, but it's still a fight. You still run the risk of getting hurt. For what now? For what? Maybe a quarter of what you're going to be offered.
Well, again, but let's say this, though, hypothetically. And again, I'm not so sure. I'm speculating. Let's say the PBC told Frank Martin, Frank, hold on. We don't want that fight. How about you fight Tank for about the same amount of money? Would that change your perspective?
Yes.
Okay. Agreed.
Okay, and you know what? That better be guaranteed. Because if it wasn't that, I'm frustrated as a fan because I wanted to see Shakur. But if that is the scenario, and that's a good one, then all is forgiven.
Kosher.
Then all is kosher. The timing is still a little suspect. Yeah. But if PBC was able to say, hey, you get Tank and for the same amount of money, I'm taking that fight all day. All good. I think my chances are better. I don't know how much better, but that is a much more justified pass because I don't feel he'll get as embarrassed. Does that make sense?
He might get knocked out, but you're right. He won't get the boxing lesson.
Correct.
It's
which I think is more as a fighter, a little more tougher pill to swallow.
Keep this in mind. Frank Martin's 28. I'm not saying he's old, but he ain't young. So when people say, no, we can do that later, nothing is guaranteed. As for
if it's not that scenario, Kim,
yes, then it's Howard the...
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. The other issue was with Shakur Stevenson. I've called him the modern-day Pernell Whitaker. And only difference is he actually hasn't been knocked down in his career. And I almost feel as though he is a victim of today's game where the path of least resistance is now not only done, but it's glorified by a lot of fans and the platform disputes, the promotional rivalries. He's being punished for almost being too damn good and difficult. I find this to be completely unfortunate.
I believe, spoke about it this last week. He needs to take a page out of his buddy Bud Crawford's playbook, take a little less, take a financial risk, if you will, and even if he was offered the 25% against Devin Haney, I really wish
call the bluff.
You call the bluff, and you take it. Because I feel very confident that no one around his size, especially 135 Haney that's trained like that, I feel very confident Shakur could be victorious in all those matches. But because otherwise he will be as talented as he is, it wouldn't matter because he's out of sight, out of mind. And not to mention he's not making any money. So he needs to start taking these financial risks. Look, it's not fair, but then life's not fair. You need to get out there and you need to be seen, man.
Here's the thing with Shakur. I've been told he makes about 2 to 3.5. He makes money. He's making a living. We don't have to start a GoFundMe for him. He's okay, but he's only 26 years old with only 20 fights. He's already a twice-a-year fighter.
Dude.
I don't know if you could reach beyond Mario Lopez, Steve Kim, Dan Rafael, and the hardcore fans if you're doing that. Think about this. We go back to it, 1997. I would say Oscar De La Hoya is more popular then than any fighter today.
Absolutely.
Fought 5 times. Fought 5 times.
5 times. And guys in their prime.
Yes.
In their peak.
Solid guys, and he took a different type of payday every single fight.
Exactly.
We're going to try to get...
Because, Kim, to piggyback on that point, this is what fighters and like get. What was smart about Bob Arum and Oscar is that you're right. He took a little less for the fights, but you know what they were doing that whole time? Building his brand. Building his brand. So when it became a pay-per-view, that's why he was a star. If someone could just sit down, Shakur, and say, hey, man, you're a young, good-looking kid. Look at this guy. So was he. And he was a talented fighter. Let's just build you and just start. Look at the long game. Everyone's looking at the short, I'm going to get screwed, this and that. Look at the long game.
And he's good enough to play the long game.
Right.
That's the difference. And let's say he did take the 25% against Haney and won all the belts. The value in that would then be, I'm now worth 5 times what I was before.
Exactly.
That's the long game.
Bet on himself.
But there is an alarming trend, and I wrote about this. When you look at Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis, who I believe are fine fighters, they kept waiting and waiting for a belt. They kept saying, I hope Errol Spence or Bud Crawford move up. And guess what? They're basically that car stuck in a sig alert after an 18-wheeler tips over. And now one guy outgrew the division in Virgil Ortiz, And the other guy is now finding out. Bud Crawford looks at you like everyone else was looking at Bud Crawford for 5 years. You're not worth the risk. My view is this. There was a time way back in the olden days when a young Ray Mancini said to Alexis Arguello, you're the champion, good. I'm not waiting. I want you. James Toney went to Davenport, Iowa to face an undefeated Michael Nunn. So this whole notion of getting to number one to squat on their ranking, it's all part of this waiting game people are playing now, Mario.
We're going to talk a little UFC later, but a very similar situation. I just want to point really quick. There's a champion right now named Sugar Sean O'Malley. He just beat Aljamain Sterling, okay, in an upset. The next contender, number one contender, was this guy named Rob, this wrestler who trains with Aljo. And he said, I don't want to fight him. That's my friend who I train with. He needs to have a rematch, even though he was KO'd and it wasn't competitive. Dana White over there said, you don't want this opportunity? Next, go back in the line. It's not going to be you. It's not going to be him or you now. Right. And they're gone. Next. And now someone else. And next. And that's a mentality. And this guy now regrets it. And his own other. Do you know what? That's when you have, and Dana said, when you have the opportunity, especially for a belt and a fight for a championship, you better take it because this sport waits for no one. It's next man up. That's exactly what he said. And that's the way it should be. You know what? In all sports.
You know what I learned right there? Democracy can be overrated. But anyway, moving on. This Saturday night on The Zone.
Don't you agree with that?
I don't disagree. For the fight fans, it's great.
Exactly.
From the Commerce Casino, lightweight battle. El Camaron William Zepeda takes on Mercito Gesta. Mario, William Zepeda, to me, for the last 2 years, has been must-see TV. As the old-timers would say, he punches, comes out of the gate like he's double parked. He also punches so much, I think he's robbing a bank. He wants to get guys out of there quickly.
I love that style. Talk about fan-friendly. Yeah. That's a fun little fight right there. I like that fight.
Yeah, Mercito Gesta's been at the world-class level. Never really been embarrassed. Look, it was a blessing and a curse to become the next Pacquiao. Because there's going to be no next Pacquiao. But he was Filipino, he was fairly exciting, and he was southpaw. But he's made a late run here. I think he'll be game. But he better understand one thing. If he's going to be judicious in his punch output, call the lifeguard because he might be drowned in leather. Zepeda is a two-fisted dynamo. He's like a tornado, a storm. He's just going to come at you. Here's the interesting thing about Zepeda. He's number 7 in Ring Magazine, but I look at the ratings. He's number 2 in the WBA, number 5 in the WBC, and number 7 in both the IBF and WBO. He is promoted by Golden Boy. So let's say Zepeda wins, and he is favored, and I think he is going to be too busy and active for Gesta. Well, we just talked about a guy by the name of Shakur Stevenson. I have a question that I'd like to ask Golden Boy or Zepeda's management. Are you going to wait around for a soft belt? Or are you going to say to somebody like, I don't know, Shakur Stevenson and say that $1 million? Right here. Right here.
I think he would be game. And I think a lot of the guys at Golden Boy would be supportive of that match. He's an exciting fighter. I think Mercito, you called him a hurricane. What you need to do is to get right in the eye of that hurricane and stay close and stay busy. Because if you're at the end of those punches, boy, him unleashing you, that could be all she wrote real quick. Yeah, he's an exciting fighter that I think, as far as the young fighters in their stable, he's one, a blue chipper that can make a lot of noise real quick.
So again, that is Saturday night on The Zone at the Commerce Casino. All right, we come back, a word from our commercial sponsors, and we go to the fight review, preview, Ask Mario, news and notes, and final flurries.
Catch the streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by the way, you get 10 grand.
Fucking straddle!
For my fans!
What? I read it twice!
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Raise it up.
And we're back on the 3 knockdown rule. And again, if you'd like to get involved with the 3 knockdown rule and sponsor our fine program, we still have some slots available. Please reach out to us by emailing info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid.io is an online platform that is launching soon that helps public figures and professionals in the world of boxing get sponsorships. We are proudly working with Boxbid.io.
Review preview.
Okay, fight preview this Friday in Texas on ESPN for the IBF featherweight title of the world. Luis Alberto Lopez Venado takes on Joet Gonzalez. Mario Lopez kind of reminds me a little bit of Navarrete. It may not be textbook, but gee, it is effective, and he's got power in both hands. Michael Conlon found out a couple months ago.
Listen, if you're comparing anyone to Navarrete right now, that's a huge, huge compliment. And again, one of those guys that's hard to prepare for. You may think you have him figured out until you get in there. Then he shows you what he's all about. It took a little weekend in boxing, and I think in this particular division too, some exciting fights down the line.
Yeah, and for Joet Gonzalez, he's always been a guy that's been really good. And look, it's tough to be a world champion, and he's been a top 10 guy for most of his
like an Obakar
career. But he's Obakar. I remember Obakar was this hot young prospect. He's supposed to be the next great Kronk fighter when he came up. And unfortunately, he had 3 problems in his career. His title shots came against Trinidad, Corte, De La Hoya. You want to talk
Murderer's
about...
row.
I mean, timing is everything in life. And you look at Joet, who's just this solid guy, television and action-friendly. His 2 title shots, think about the broad spectrum. Shakur and then Navarrete.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy gives you a boxing lesson, the other guy puts you in a blender, and now you're taking on Venado Lopez.
I know. Man, talk about earning your stripes. That's tough.
There has to be a sense of desperation because this could be 3 times and you're out, right? Because Joet is kind of up there in age. I don't know how much mileage there is. Look, he's closer to the end of his career than the beginning.
We'll see if he has anything left in his tank. And, he is experienced. So I'm not saying that we should favor him by any means. But, sometimes you get up for fights like this that could be your last hurrah.
The term is sense of urgency. Because if
you
in the back of your mind, you know what? My days are limited. I'm not guaranteed 2 more title shots. You never know. I think the key for him is he's got to be straight down the middle. Because one thing about Venado, he's a little bit wide in his frame. For as heavy-handed as he is, Joet has to be more compact. But again, that power it's real. Ask Michael Conlon, who tried to slug with him on the inside the pocket, and it was not a good night because he just got overpowered. Also on this card, bright young Puerto Rican prospect Xander Zayas and lightweight sensation Emiliano Vargas. I know the people in Texas are going to be very excited to see him.
They're keeping him busy. I like that.
News and notes.
Moving on to news and notes. This is interesting, Mario. The WBO has designated Teofimo Lopez a super champion, which means as the champion at 140, he has rights now to go immediately up to 47 and say, oh, whoever's your welterweight champion, I'm next in line immediately.
Has he made any indications that he wants to do that?
I'm not sure what is going on, but that would mean Terrence Crawford for the time being.
Well, I think there's still some pretty lucrative fights that could be made at 140. When you said super champion, I thought he means he gets a cape or an S on his chest or something.
He could get one. He could get one.
Hey, after that last performance, he deserves one. Who did we say we want to see him face at 140 if given? Because I personally,
Devin Haney. How about Devin Haney?
Well, I know we're going to talk about him next, but Haney is looks like he's going to be tied up with Prograis. But in the interim, who would we like? There was someone else that.
Well, there's a deep division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But there was a couple of guys that I can't recollect who would really wanted him to face.
Well, let's see. Arnold Barboza, solid guy, but not necessarily glamorous.
But if the Haney and Prograis fight go off, Barboza's a good guy to keep busy and to fight the win. If I know he's getting the winner of Haney Prograis,
yes,
then I don't mind Barboza at all.
No,
I like that.
Right, and look, Gary Antoine Russell's on the other side of the street. I don't think he's really in the equation. So is Subriel Matias, who's absolutely a meat grinder.
Yeah, he's out.
I don't think anyone. By the way, that's another guy.
Yeah, that's another guy.
He's punished because of how tough he is.
Right.
I don't see a lot of guys saying, "Oh, you're a champion. I want you."
There's not a lot of upside for him.
Yeah, and that's what's on. We are now in an era where guys with title belts are being avoided consciously. Anyway, speaking of Regis Prograis, him and Devin Haney. will be fighting for the WBC 140-pound title, and like Tony Bennett, the late, great Tony Bennett, they'll be leaving their hearts in San Francisco.
Yeah, well, Hanney's from Oakland, so it's a hometown fight for him. Ironically, Prograis fought in his hometown this last time, and he was so candid and honest about how it was a distraction, at least for him. These are his words. It was a distraction. He didn't like the people hitting him up for tickets. He didn't like his performance, and that was so refreshing to hear. We'll see if Hanney has the same effect. Coincidentally, I was speaking with Julian Chua, his trainer, and he was telling me Prograis is supposed to be coming in this next week, and he's feeling good, and he's excited about it, and they're both excited about the fight, and they both want to come in and do the show. So, Prograis and Julian. So I like this fight. I don't think we should be so quick to write Prograis off based on his last performance. For reasons that I just stated, sometimes you may just have an off night. And look, he still dropped that opponent. He's still a strong guy. And let's see how much his extra 5 pounds give Hanney as far his legs underneath him, because we've seen him get buzzed by guys who do not hit as hard.
This is interesting. The San Francisco venue. The last major card, because they've actually had club shows in the Bay Area, the last major card that I remember at this level was actually in 2001, that fall. It was a co-headline show between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. People forget they actually co-headlined the show. Manny Pacquiao faced Agapito Sanchez, and I believe Mayweather fought Jesus Chavez.
Wow.
So people forget they actually were like dance partners to a certain degree. Should be an interesting night. And late last week, I thought it was really interesting. Brian McIntyre, Bo-Mac, most famous for working with Terrence Crawford, he led Chris Eubank to a great revenge victory over Liam Smith, but then he was arrested for gun possession at the Manchester airport. This is a strange one.
How you forget to have a gun when you're coming to the airport? I'm like, my man, like seriously.
It's not like too much protein powder in the big jug.
Yeah, like really?
Or the shampoo bottle's too big.
No, right. That's you forget shampoo. You forget you
cologne.
put two back cologne.
Oh, man.
Exactly. But a gun?
Yeah.
Come on, brother. You can't have the gun right there. I don't think it's as... I was going to say not as serious. I don't think there's as serious of an offense. I don't think as it is, because, my bad, I left it in there.
But I heard over there it's
serious. What's the state, actually? What's the state?
No, it's Manchester, England.
Oh, in England. I'm sorry. That's right. That's different. What the heck was he doing in England? That's different, because over here, it's depending on the state. It's just like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And it's never a good look, but, wow, that's interesting. That's going to be, they haven't discussed any sort of sentencing.
Not yet. So I don't even know if he's back. I don't get it. Okay. But anyway, good luck to him. I think he's going to need
good luck.
it.
That's unfortunate.
Moving on to the Ask Mario segment of this fine program. All right, let's start off from the Fanny Merchant, the only Sanch. Ask that San Diego Charger, Mario Lopez, will his Chargers be better than my Raiders this season?
Kim, is it deja vu all over again? Another close loss. Did you see the game by chance?
I did.
What about that? I want to punch in the face. The dude, 2 seconds left.
J.C. Jackson, the man of action.
That 3 points cost us the game. We lost by 2. Can you believe? I mean, now granted, Tyreek Hill is a rocket out there, but the no pass pressure. No pressure on the passer. It was allowing Tua to look like Tom Brady out there. What, bro? With Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, we shouldn't be that soft on defense. Or is Tyreek Hill just really that fast and that good? We didn't have any pressure on the quarterback right there, and we had long drives, Kim. Drives of 75 yards, drives of 90 yards, drives of 80 yards, and we mixed it up. I like the way Kellen Moore was running that offense, but the defense with those, and then the special teams with that bonehead plays. We're not out of it, but yet another close. Loss for 2 points, and Brandon Staley's got to be on the hot seat.
Oh, well, okay, look, he's on the hot seat to win 12 to 13 games and not just sneak into the playoffs and actually win. But I will say this, look, Justin Herbert's one of my favorite players. I think he's a franchise quarterback. But in these moments where you have over a minute and a half and your first play is a intentional grounding, he didn't
even take 3 steps, though. The line wasn't even protecting him. You saw that, Kim.
I'm with you, but he didn't even get a yard in that drive.
Yeah, but he couldn't even step back. You got to protect him a second. Okay, you saw Kansas City play as well. Who looked worse?
The Chargers played a better game.
Okay.
But here's the problem. They keep losing these games. And that's the difference between,
All
right, here's one for, you're really, I'm glad
don't give up on them yet, though, right?
I'm not.
Don't give up.
Yet.
I'm going to go to that Monday night Cowboy game, too. Ooh, that's going to be.
Cowboys look good. Cowboys look good.
I know.
All right, here's one from Joel. Does he ever see or speak to Mark Paul Gosselaar, your old Saved by the Bell alumnus?
It's random.
When's the last time you texted him? What's going on? Sure, he
Matter of
misses
fact,
you.
I'm going to see him. I'm going to see him this weekend. In Tampa. Yeah,
Tampa?
And he's in jiu-jitsu, and so yeah, we keep in touch. He moved down to San Diego.
Oh,
Yeah.
greatest city in the world.
But he's great city. But he's doing well. He's got his family and stuff.
And here's one from Vic Rude. Ask Mario, how much longer can Fury not fight Usyk and live off the 3 Wilder fights? That's a legitimate question, isn't it?
Is it me or did my guy look like he gained 50 pounds for that fight against? He didn't even look like he trained.
But
for
it's
a
well
minute.
distributed.
No, he looks like Gru. He looks like Gru from Despicable Me. He's built like the guy from the Minions. He's built like him. Why does he looks terrible against Francis Ngannou?
Because he's fighting Ngannou and not a real boxer.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
why.
but still, I mean, you're going to be conditioned a little bit. He's still a big, strong guy. You figure, oh gosh, Tyson Fury. No, he needs to. How long to answer his question? He better get him in this next
Better
fight.
be the next one.
I can see him going for the money grab right here. He's got like 7 kids or something. Fine, but then you got to give us a real fight.
I've been told that the Middle East conglomerate, whichever one it is going to put up the money, and the fight with Usyk could possibly happen in the first quarter of 2024. Here's the issue. We were saying similar things 12 months ago, Mario, and that went to Bolivian. In fact, the Wilder-Joshua fight, if the Middle East people, they might be a house of cards. There comes a point where Tyson Fury, and I've been critical, but a lot of other people are kind of quiet about this. This has been a very, very uneventful, desultory heavyweight run. Mario, take a look at Tyson Fury's title run after he beat Klitschko in 2015. If you take out the 3 Wilder fights, it's a lot of flotsam and jetsam. It's not exactly Muhammad Ali here.
We're talking about a guy who's been very vocal about his mental health issues. So we know what we're getting. It's not like, and so but I'm saying is, but he does go to fight. So if he wants to go make some money fighting this MMA thing, I'm not going to blame him. But at least hold up your responsibilities and continue to fight the other champions or top contenders, or relinquish the belts.
Okay, you have laid down the law. Okay,
you know what I mean? Because I like him, but come on.
Yeah, here's one from Sherm. Do you have any insight on what's going on at the Zone? Almost every event that's not a developmental card or YouTube celebrity boxers has gone pay-per-view. Do they expect the audience to keep playing an ever-increasing amount for this? I want to address this. When they first came out, I was a huge proponent of the Zone. You could Google all my articles. I liked what they did. I actually liked a lot of what they did.
No pay-per-view, remember?
It was dead, but it rose up like The Undertaker. Just rose up. And now they said, pay-per-view is dead. Really? It's like the phoenix. It just rose up from the ashes.
Yeah, oh, look at that.
And I just want to let you know that fight we talked about with Prograis and Hanney, pay-per-view. I'm like, what? It's one thing if it's Canelo. I get it. That fight should be a part of our subscription where we say we're getting value. And by the way, every year, that subscription has gone up like precipitously.
Well, I don't get it. And I disagree. Even if it's Canelo, you do not promote yourself as no pay-per-view, and then you hit us with pay-per-view. That's a straight-up lie.
Right.
You're deceiving your subscribers. That's what we signed up for. And if we pay to watch these other fights just so we can get treated for these special ones once in a while, and if you're going to now start charging us for that, well, then screw that. Off a principle you want to get. Now, you and I are,
we kind of have to
and we're knuckleheads and we're going to keep doing it. But regardless, I wouldn't suggest it to other people because that's cold as ice. You can't, that's false advertising.
Yeah, that's the classic case of over-promising, under-delivering. And I speak for all the Zone subscribers, the remaining of us. I am now the Zone and confused. Anyway, here's one from, I was setting that one up. Anyway, here's one from Matty Rolls.
Wow.
Do you think Shakur versus Emmanuel Navarrete should happen next? Also, is Shakur going to have to take 25% of a purse split to get a big fight, and will Arum even allow it? Navarrete's a good fight.
I think Arum would allow it. It's a fun fight, and obviously, that, you know what? That is another fight where you're getting 2 stars, 2 different cultures, ethnicities, and all that. That could be a big fight. And it's one of those fights where, one would think Shakur's unstoppable at this point. But damn, Navarrete finds ways to kind of make himself. It's interesting, isn't it?
He's so wrong that he's right.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, he looks like, oh, there's no way. And then you're like, damn.
I guarantee when you face a guy like Navarrete, you've probably gotten hit with punches that you don't ever imagine you'd get hit by because no one's ever thrown them at you. Like the
Right.
lead left uppercut from 3 blocks away.
Right,
No one ever
exactly.
throws that except him.
Yeah, and he lands it.
And the thing about the percentage, I've said this, and
I love that fight, by the way.
That-
the more I think about it, I love that fight.
sometimes a fighter has to take 2 steps backwards financially to get 10 miles ahead.
Like we were talking about Shakur earlier.
Right. So, again, it's not my career. It's easy for me to say, but I kind of know the way this is. And there's been plenty of fighters, including Mayweather, when he fought Oscar, he was the B-side. He had to give up the weight class, the size of the gloves. He took a lot less money. Look what that parlayed into, though.
If young fighters, and I keep going back to Shakur because he's a perfect example for this, just heard those stories or just saw that blueprint, Bud, Mayweather, look at where they are now. The people that aren't showing them that or telling them that are doing them such a disservice.
You know what I loved about Winky Wright, and I wrote about him recently in K9's Corner? He had to go to basically...
Road warrior.
He had to basically become a European fighter. And then even when he's facing a guy like Fernando Vargas, I thought it was kind of a bad decision. Then he had to go right back to ESPN Plus or the Friday Night Fight
But he
series.
stuck with it and ended up paying off with Trinidad, and I was there and he beat him that night.
Trinidad, Hopkins, Shane Mosley.
Right.
And nowadays, guys like that become Demetrius Andrade who wait and wait and wait to nothing.
I forgot about Andre until you mentioned him right now.
Yeah, so did everyone else.
That's what I'm saying.
Here's one from Johnny Boy Strickland. What are your top 3 fights you want to see in 2024?
Same ones that I wanted to see in 23. We only saw one of them. So Fury, Usyk,
Okay, agreed.
Canelo Benavidez, not Crawford.
Okay.
Canelo Benavidez.
I got one.
And then hold on, let me give you my
Yeah.
3. And then I want to see Tio versus the winner of Prograis Hanney. Those are the top 3 I want to see. Do you like those?
Yes, and I would add better BFB Vol.
Oh yeah, fudge. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, so did everyone else.
Because they've been so out of sight, out of mind. By the way, that was the fight that I wanted to see this year when you asked me earlier.
Yeah.
And they still haven't fought it. So yes, I forgot about that. I actually would want to see that. That's my 3. That's my third.
Mario.
That would take precedence. But again, Kim, if we can't even remember it, how do you think the public is gonna?
And we kind of covered this.
That's what I'm saying. So how do you think that's bad?
Mario,
That's bad.
a couple weeks ago, we had our great friend Doug Fisher on the show, and we talked about B-Vol. And we talked about how that there
What
were...
a waste. What a waste of a parlay right there.
And we talked about how there were rumors about him fighting in October. Mario, you know this game. We are now in the 2nd week of September. So you're saying in 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, you're actually going to plan a fight for B-Vol.
Let me ask you
I
something. I liken it to, I haven't seen someone
Squander?
squander and not be able to parlay such a beautiful opportunity performance like Bivol did with Canelo since Teofimo did with Loma originally.
Yes.
Now,
that's a good one.
Right? Now, Teofimo was able to resurrect himself with this performance because we said if you can do it against Taylor, all is forgiven.
Right.
Will Bivol have that shot against another opponent like that? Of that caliber? I don't know. Who would it be? If it's not Canelo, who would it have to be?
I'm with you. And if it was the exact same offer as the first time and there's no other offer, I would have taken it.
I know.
And this whole notion that they had any leverage because of the result, they don't understand business and they're naive. Everyone involved there, from the managers to Matchroom and whoever else is involved, you share blame in all this. But here's the issue. If you don't have a fight right now, in the middle of September, the way the business is set up, you probably will not fight at the earliest till November.
Which means he would have gone how long now?
Exact year, because he fought in the first Saturday of November is when he fought Gilberto Ramirez.
Wow.
And we're talking about the fighter of the year that beat Canelo. See, my view is this.
The biggest star in the sport, who remains, by the way, the biggest
and
star in the
had
sport.
2 fights. You'll have had
And
2
that's what
fights.
I'm saying. He remains the biggest star because he gets it.
I actually feel sorry for Bivol, but I wonder if he himself did not understand the landscape. If you're looking for fairness, do not be involved in boxing. Here's a question from the Filthy Casual. Will Shakur suffer Bud's fate with Top Rank? Will he be too avoided by the PBC till his contract runs out? And number 2, will TR make the same mistake they made with Bud by consigning themselves to the WBO, or will they spread their vast talent at 135 amongst all sanctioning bodies? Well, hold on. Second of all, the Frank Martin fight was supposed to be for the WBC title. Keep that in mind.
I don't feel Top Rank did Bud dirty at all.
Made a lot of money.
He made a lot of money.
People
They
don't
kept him
understand
busy. That's what I'm saying. So I don't like that narrative because I don't feel they really did him a disservice. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No. At the end of the day, do you want the best fighters to fight each other? Stop blaming promoters who hold the fights away from the public.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me the PBC and Top Rank don't want to work with each other when literally Wilder and Fury, their second and third fight, guess what? Were co-promotions.
Exactly. Case in point. So, look, and I think they've done a fine job with Shakur Stevenson. This last Frank Martin thing is not on them.
Right, and you're not offering that guy $250. You're offering him 4 times. $1 million payday for a guy who fought in a small casino ballroom on a Showtime broadcast that probably didn't even break 200,000 viewers. I mean, what are you waiting for?
No, I know.
And here's a question from MC, and this is kind of a dicey one. I don't know if you can answer it. Who's the nicest, rudest, and weirdest celebrities you've met? Well, you've already said Tiger Woods. We can go with that one. Tiger was just a weird guy.
Maybe I caught him on off day. But that's Frazier's. That's Frazier. I'll say this in a general sense. It's funny because the bigger the star, usually the nicer the person. It's those kind of middling, like reality stars and guy that just got on the show.
They don't know their lane.
Influencers, or those people that just got on the new show.
Right.
They think they're about to blow up. And I'm thinking in my head,
Really?
player, you're not going to be here in about another year or two.
Your 15 minutes are up?
Yeah,
It's
you're
14 minutes and 55
you're on
seconds.
14, exactly. I'm thinking in my mind. I've been here a long time. I've seen them come and go. With this attitude, you're not going to be hanging. So it's those people that are kind of coming up that just got their first show, this and that. They're the ones that think they're going to be, the hot stuff. Or the reality stars. But I found like the bigger the stars, the Denzel Washingtons, the Julia Roberts, you know what I mean? The name, the start Arnold, yes, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, all the Toms, nice guys, great guys, super super cool, and maybe that's a big reason for their success.
I saw a tweet from one of the football accounts, Kyle Rudolph, who had a really good career as a tight end. He spent last year with the Buccaneers, and he wrote something, or on his blog, they said, what was it like being Tom Brady's teammate last year? And he said, Tom Brady was so popular that he had a locker and an empty locker next to him for all the autograph requests that he would get from teammates. So every day, there's just a bunch of stuff piled up with little Post-it notes.
That's cool.
Yeah, saying, hey, can you sign this to little Johnny, your friend Tom Brady?
Yeah.
He said every day Tom Brady cleaned out that locker.
By the way, I know Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Right.
Good guy.
And he also said that what I observed of Tom Brady was whether you were the janitor or the Glazer family who owned the franchise, he was a nice guy to every single person in between. He said, I just have so much respect for Tom Brady.
I concur. And California boy.
Yes.
California
Up north,
boy.
though. Up north. Sarah High School. NorCal.
Final flurries.
Mario, going on to Final Flurries, I just want to mention one thing real quick. I have ESPN back, thank God. This football season was becoming a little difficult.
Yeah, Spectrum and that whole thing. That
yeah,
was a weird
finally, here's what happened. I want to thank Aaron Rodgers because I think that if he was not the quarterback of the Jets, that Monday night game, both sides were going to called mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they started this thing right during the college football start, Florida, Utah. But right around Monday Night Football, I think both sides said, you know what, we got to come to an agreement. And so, yes, I have my ESPN and Disney back.
Fair enough.
Mario, UFC, the last card, a lot of stuff happened.
Bro. Okay, this is funny. On Saturday, it happened to be my son's birthday. And it also happened to be a major heat wave here. You weren't here, right? No. It was freaking like 100 and something. And I was at the theme park here at Universal with him and his friends, dying outside. And there's not a lot of shade there, right? We're there all day. You know how draining that could be. So we finally get home, and I get home in time, and they closed it early for the Halloween Horror Nights. Thank God. So I get home, and I put on UFC 293, which is in Australia, and I'm watching it by myself. Kim, that might be one of the best UFC cards I've ever seen.
The revenge of the rematches of the UFC.
Dude, and I saw it by myself, which is ironic because last time I've had a bunch of people over, they were like, they're good. But I'm over here by myself, like, I got to call somebody, I want to talk to somebody. It was incredible. The whole main card. I have it right here, just going back. Tyson Pedro. That's his name.
Orale.
Tyson Pedro. Is that a crazy name?
Orale.
Vicious knockout, starting with my guy right there. Then we went to Tafa, this another Maori Samoan kid who went up against this guy Lane, who was a professional football player, got into MMA a little later. Well, you could think my guy got knocked out with one punch. The chubby Samoan guy against the big buck. That was incredible. And then we saw probably one of the most highly skilled lightweight battles that I think I've ever seen with Cape and Dos Santos. And it was incredible back and forth, nonstop action, all striking. I don't think there was too much grappling involved, and it came to a decision with Kape. And then I don't know if you saw the stuff that was going viral. These interviews, these guys were wilding out. The stuff these UFC fighters were saying at the end of their interviews. I kept thinking, oh my God, if an NBA player said this or an NFL player said this, I was like, wow. But you know what? That's the Wild Wild West right there, and anything went. So that was incredible. And then we went to Volkov and Tuivasa, who's used to doing the shoeys. That was not Volkov, this big other Russian, did an Ezekiel, this other submission on him in another slugfest. And then we had, it just incredible, just knockouts, submissions, exciting fights. And then we had, statistically, the biggest upset ever in UFC history with my boy Strickland Rod Strickland beating Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. And Kim, it wasn't those victories like he caught him with a good shot, caught him in fight. No, he systematically broke him down, dropped him in the first, and then dominated him for the next 4 rounds, which, keep in mind, they're 5-minute rounds, right? And you know the irony is he was considered the best striker. It was all striking, not one grappling. And you're going to love this. He had like this shell defense, Mayweather-type defense the whole time.
MMA shell?
Bro, you have to see it. You're going to appreciate it. Anytime he kicked, he'd brought it here. He'd parry the punch here, block the kicks here, block him here. But the only thing is he wasn't answering as much as I want. But he with the pressure, just the steady pressure. And finally he did a little juke, left hook, right hand, boom, dropped him. And then he just started picking him out. He was clean at the end of his fight. Adesanya was busted up, and I actually gave him props, but it was the biggest upset in UFC. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm experiencing all this by myself. And I was texting Dan, I'm like, bravo, this was incredible. He's like, this is insane, all this happening. And I thought about you, I was like, man, you would have appreciated Mario, this whole card.
I actually saw a compilation of Twitter of the defense against Adesanya. It was like the UFC version of what Crawford did to Spence. The way he just neutralized him. He looked like
completely neutralized. You're exactly right.
It looked like he knew where the kick were going to be and when they were going to be delivered before Adesanya did. He was actually catching him. He was curling on him. He was slipping him. He was actually just stepping back.
You're exactly right.
And I was like, wow, that was masterful.
And Adesanya usually likes to back up against the cage and try to counterpunch. Remember when he did that with Pereira? He goes and he'll counterpunch you. Problem was, he wasn't letting him either have the space or he was prepared for everything. And as soon as he did get in the cage, Strickland would let his hands go. When Pereira fought him, here's a crazy thing. Remember Pereira, the big Brazilian guy who beat him still 2 out of 3 times? He lost this last one. Pereira knocked out Strickland like that in the UFC. And Pereira also beat Jan Blachowicz when Adesanya tried to go up in weight class and lost against him. And Pereira also trained Strickland, helped him train for this fight. So I feel like he's got all these victories against him. So he lives to troll Adesanya.
So Mario, the question is, based on the impact of this win, and when I was coming home from the Miami game and I was at my friend's house watching games, it dominated my timeline. It went viral.
Yeah.
What are the chances of a rematch? And in the UFC, do they actually have rematch clauses?
I hesitate to answer because I don't know if they do, but here's the thing. They do if it's close fights. If he would have, when he caught him in that first round, and if he jumped on him, and I credit to the referee for not stopping in, because I think if he would have called it, nobody would have argued because it looked like it was over, so he didn't. And if they would have called it then you could be like, okay, he happened to catch him. We need a rematch, okay?
Right.
We need a rematch right there. But, Kim, do we need a rematch if it's complete domination?
Right.
Kind of like you made a reference to Crawford Spence. Do you really want to see that? It's a good opportunity. There's a lot of exciting fighters right now. We want to see Paulo Costa is fighting Hamzat Chimaev. The winner of that, I think, becomes the number 1 contender and is now able, because Dana doesn't play this. You know what I mean? Whoever deserves it. If it was close and he caught him, then maybe yes. But I don't think so. Based on the performance, and it should be the next guy.
I am not against rematches in boxing or any other form of
combat. If they make
combat.
sense, though.
But it can't be just a contractual stipulation. There should be some discretion. Look, if Adesanya wins the next 4 fights the way he usually does, run it back. The guy worked his way back, but just to do it right again, it feels like boxing.
When we saw Fury and Wilder, that was worthy of a rematch after the first round. It was a draw. It was a draw, actually, so you needed a rematch, right? Even the second one, maybe he got the best of him this last one. We know Wilder can still hurt him. Okay, those are justified. I don't feel Crawford Spence, even though some people are trying to justify it because of the weight class, I don't feel, and I really don't with Adesanya. I think this sport moves fast. We got to keep up with it.
Mario, a lot of things going on at Michigan State, huh?
Bro, you got to fill me in with Mel Tucker. So I just caught bits and pieces, and I know you talked about it on Fearless, haven't caught up. But was it just like a phone situation? Was there actually no physicality involved?
No,
or am I confused or what happened?
They didn't bump ugly.
For those not,
okay.
Break it down.
So Mel Tucker, the head of the Michigan State football program, brought in this activist, a rape survivor, Brenda Tracy, to speak to the team and to talk about, hey, how to treat women. Also made her an honorary captain. And I guess they started having long personal discussions on the phone.
You can't do that with an assault victim. That defeats all purpose.
And he's married.
Oh, no, you really can't do that. I didn't know that he's married too.
Yes.
Oh,
and I guess the story is that he was complaining about his marriage.
Oh,
and so, again, I don't know how Courtney would feel if you start having 30-minute discussions over 20 times. And then, it turns out he was Mel Tucker.
No.
And then he admits it. I'm like, deny. You can't admit that.
Wow. What is she claiming?
That was shocking, and that to me that was not consensual.
Oh, really? So she complained.
Yeah.
She complained to someone. No, but I'm saying, was it a criminal complaint, like a legal complaint, or was it just to the school? You know what I'm saying?
I think it was a Title IX violation, which has to do with colleges, and also in his contract, when you work for a university, it's different than being a regular person.
Right. Now, look, in the grand scheme of things, okay, there was no physicality. It's obviously like more of an ethical thing, whatever.
Or emotional.
Right, or emotional. Oh, right, because you're on the phone. But it's never a good look when you bring an assault victim and then you try to get
hit on her,
friendly with her, and hit on her.
And you're married.
That's not a good look. So is this a fireable offense?
Here's my theory. If he was winning games like Jim Harbaugh, it'd be like, get out of here. But he's not, and they're on the hook for like a $95 million contract.
Oh, so they can get cleared from
buyer's remorse, maybe?
What's the record right now?
Well, they're kind of mean. Last year they were very bad. This year it looks like they're going to be very badder.
Really?
Yeah, they lost their best receiver to Florida State.
Let me ask you something along the coaching thing. Who was the Spurrier? Not Spurrier. I'm sorry. The Florida coach when he was
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer, and when he went to Ohio, right?
Ohio State.
What did he do, Kim?
Well, it turned out at Florida there was a few transgressions, or a dozen. And for the record, Aaron Hernandez hadn't murdered anyone yet. He just gave signs.
That was at Florida.
Yes, but here's a difference. Guy was winning national titles. That's the difference. If Mel Tucker was winning national titles, here's what I think.
All of a sudden they're practicing turning the other cheek.
Yeah, like, hey, what's going on?
So what did he do over at
Ohio State?
Yeah.
Happened to win a national title there too.
Well, I know, but they didn't turn the other cheek. Didn't he get in trouble there?
Kind of. There are some things.
Oh, no, he still has his job, huh?
Who?
Urban Meyer.
No, Urban retired.
Or Urban retired, that's right.
But Jacksonville, and then it was so bad, because then he was bad. So then when that girl...
I know he did something. Didn't he do something at a bar?
Yeah, at his own restaurant, some girl was giving him a lap dance that was not his wife. So
see, that's where these guys mess up.
He didn't even make... and he didn't even make like the first season. They fired him in week 15. They're like, okay, we got to get Trevor Lawrence, a real coach here. But here's the issue.
Oh my God, that's right. That's what happened. He was a pro. That's right. That's right. He was a pro. Yeah, and he won national. He's a damn good college coach.
He's a damn good coach. And with Mel Tucker... There was an issue is that there was diminishing returns. Okay, so here's the thing. You're a married man. Is it a breach of the relationship if you talk to another female and it's not with your wife's consent or knowledge, and these things are taken, not just, hey, okay, I got to be at the studio, but it's really like you're getting into other things, and you're talking for more than a half hour at a time. That's not going to play well.
If your wife is not aware of it, and if she didn't... give you the okay to have this conversation, that it's not cool. You're just asking for problems.
You'd be sleeping on the couch.
Well, you'd be sleeping on the couch. It's just
or the Howard Johnsons.
I don't care if there was no physicality. It's not.
It's emotional,
bro. My wife gets mad if I like the wrong picture on IG.
No.
You think she's gonna? You think she's gonna? You know what I'm saying? If I talk to somebody, sometimes I'm like, "Hey, it's a slip of the thumb." I was scrolling.
It's a real slip
of the thumb. Yeah. You think she's gonna go for that? Are you kidding me?
Fellas.
Mel Tucker. There was another coach at Wilded Out. I'm trying to think of all the coaches that have been wilded out.
Also with Michigan,
was there somebody else like?
No. Let me just go back to Michigan State. Remember, they had that doctor that had a lot of issues with gymnast Larry Nassar.
Oh, wow. Michigan State's wilding out. Yeah, they can't have that.
So the optics of it is maybe I don't want to say overreact, but they have to be swift and decisive.
Has he been fired yet?
he's on administrative leave. I believe this is a portend that I think he's gone.
Yeah.
Right? Because even and Mel Tucker put out a statement with his side of the story, but you know the way it goes in this climate.
Wow.
But I'm just going to tell you, also, fellas, Uncle Mario is telling you, get an anonymous burner account. And like to their heart's content,
Uncle
right?
Uncle Mario is telling you is if you're married, not worth the price.
Yeah, just get off. Get off social media. Just
my
follow
God.
3 Knockdown.
God, I wish I remember there was another coach at Wild Out did some.
No,
there's a whole fraternity of these coaches that just wild out.
Yes,
and they don't know what they're doing.
Absolutely. So anyway, a lot of life advice given out here.
That's good stuff. You got all the gossip in college football right there.
That's what we do. Anyway, all right. Well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule. We want to remind you, if you want to sponsor our fine program, email us at info@boxbid.io. On behalf of Mario Lopez, Smoke and Tim Frazier, and Tino on the edits. Till next week, goodbye, everybody.